I feel like the reason why backstory you don't want to weigh yourself down with backstory is writing a great script or a great film. And we might even jump to this a little bit. It's for me, writing a great film or a great script is knowing how to pick your battles. It's the 80-20 principle. It's picking the 20% that gets 80% of the results. We'll save this for later, but it's like the question of what makes for a great film. But it's knowing what battles to pick, and backstory is a battle that is going to weigh you down for very little reward. You have to figure out what story structures work for you. You have to figure out what things make for the most relatable character. Simply picking what ideas to make a movie about is a battle you have to pick. And when you go and start writing, the moment you start writing, you're creating, you're fighting battles. You're fighting battles on what's going to go on each page, what's going to go for each line. You're figuring out, okay, this character says this. As you're writing, you're figuring out the backstory.
Yes.
And
yes,
like you might find that you'll find through writing that a character sounds different than you initially thought in your head. You're going to find out who that character is by writing the script. And as you write, and I also like to write and rewrite. Like I'll write the full summary of this film, and then reread it the next day, and then rework it and rework it and rework it, starting from the beginning, and kind of work my way through. And as I'm finishing scenes, as the scenes feel solid, I keep moving on to the next one. Or I might work on multiple scenes and kind of go from beginning again, and just keep working it until it feels solid from the beginning. Yeah, because those are the battles that make the difference later on. Yeah, because when you keep reworking it from the beginning, you might keep changing how that character is. And once you feel it's solid, then you move on, because that's how you want the rest of the film, the character to be for the rest of the film. Yeah. And because you can imagine the rest of the movie starting to play out as you perfect each early scene. I think, are you all right with leaving that or do you want to get into what makes for a great film or script?
I think I want to add one more thing to the backstory thing. Yeah. I find, and you sort of just touched on it, I find that if you are deep into the script that you're writing, and you're really now you have your flow of where you are in that script, and everything, all the ideas are going, and exactly how the direction, where the characters are going and whatnot, you generally do start piecing together a sort of a backstory in your mind just organically. It just happens as you are just writing these pieces, and so I never write a backstory from necessarily the characters that I write for, but I happen to always happen to know some type of reference points, just not even thinking about it. Just the way I've created a personality for a character lets me know probably where they were in the past previous 2 years. Yeah. And I remember in writing Rameses, for example, I had this detective character. We don't know anything really about his past, I'm supposed to say past life, but his former, how he was in his earlier days. We don't know anything about it. It's not even brought up in the script, but we do know that he has this really great friendship with this character named Calvin. And I don't find it important. I didn't find it important at the time to tell the audience why they're lifelong friends. That does not contribute to what the story was going. But I remember one of the actors had the actor playing the detective. He had asked me, I guess, how long he had known this guy. I'm like, oh, and right off the bat, I'm like, oh, well, they went to college together. And he's like, and he stopped because it's not in the script.
But it changes the performance.
And he stopped. He's like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "They're lifelong friends." The reason why he's in his house, because there's a scene where Calvin wakes up and the detective's already in his house because he has a key. It's not mentioned that in the script that he has a key, but you can kind of tell through the script that they know each other previously. They're comfortable with each other to know that one has a key to the building. And I said, "Yeah, well, he's been checking up on him. They know each other probably through college. They're buddies." And so it's little things like that where I don't feel the need to address it in the script. It pops up in my brain as I'm writing it. Okay, this is why their relationship is the way that it is. But I just find that I start to piece together organically little pieces of the backstory as I'm knee deep in writing the script.
Yeah. You that's why when I say dig into writing, you're literally digging in. You're starting a new battle. So that's why I don't start writing until I have the entire story figured out, because once you hit the first draft, you're not thinking about overall story anymore. You can't. Right. You can't.
Yes. And what helps is I try to question myself in terms of, like, if I'm going to write a scene, a dialogue, anything, I always try to there always being a reason for why the characters are in a cafe, why the characters are saying this specific line. So if someone was to question me, Kevin, why did you write that line? Why is this character saying this line in this scene? Or why is this character ignoring this person, but he's talking to this person? I've always put an intention behind every single, always be aware and put an intention behind every single writing piece that I do, so it could all make sense, in which in a way creates the backstory, that the untold backstory in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it does. I mean, you're instinctively, as you're writing, you come up with backstory.
Sort of,
because
yes.
You're thinking through it. You're experiencing it as the character. When you're writing it. And writing is such a deep and mysterious thing that, like, when you're doing it, you're just, you're so immersed in it, and it's just you're creating a world in your head. And that's and one of the reasons why I like doing the first draft. I do I just go start to finish the entire project. You get to see the overall structures, and you get to pick those bigger battles. What are some battle, like in that reference, like in that analogy of picking your battles, in terms of, because that's my answer to what makes for a great film, knowing which battles to pick when. What are some of the bigger battles or things that make for a great film? Like what is like or you could put it this way, as like an actor, the choices, the overall choices. Your choice is, I'm gonna make this my priority for this project, for the story structure or the character. What are some things that you choose to prioritize over others that you think makes for a greater film, or greater film down the road, or maximizes the potential of that film? Because that's really what the answer to that question is, that's really what that question's about. Is what are those big choices or battles that you decide to focus on? You can't focus on all of them. You can't choose, this character needs to like peanut butter from start to finish, or you could, and it will make for a lesser film. Or that they drive a Suburban or something, like that doesn't matter.
Okay, so I think I don't know if I have the best way of explaining or answering this, so I'm gonna try. I think what makes for a great film is, first of all, to focus on your strengths. Yeah. And so okay, so for a production standpoint, I write a lot of dialogue. My DP always compares my work, loosely to like Aaron Sorkin, because I write a lot of dialogue. And I feel like that's where that's my strongest point. Is I write dialogue, and I try to make it fast paced. I try to make it witty. I try to have that conversation flow. And also at the same time be meaningful, and them always talking for a purpose, to propel the story forward, not just have some kind of chit chat dialogue filler kind of thing happening. It's always to propel the scene forward, but it's always almost dialogue heavy all the time. That's, I think, my strongest point. What makes for a great film. And also, I don't think this is what you're looking for. I'm just gonna say it. What makes for a great film is casting. Yeah. Picking the right people for the right parts, because that could be your downfall. If you think you found the right person and you get them in the room with the other actors and the chemistry's off, or whatnot. Well, the first thing an audience person's gonna see is a person who's not involved in filmmaking, is just John Smith on the street, is they're gonna watch the movie, and the first thing they're gonna see is your actors. And I think casting is the right casting is super important. And for me, in the script has to be ready, and it has to really deliver the storyline.
Yeah, the script needs to be ready, because what I hear is like Jaws. I was thinking about this actually earlier today. Jaws. I read the book about the making of Jaws by the writer on it, or one of the screenwriters, and they were rewriting things throughout production. Now, if you want to view that as like what makes for a great blockbuster and movie, the fact that they were rewriting things throughout the production, it's like, yeah, but they were wasting a lot of money because of it. But you know what? I still prefer a well-written, like Quentin Tarantino or Christopher Nolan movie over Jaws any day. Because, I mean, as long as Jaws is a great movie, I love it, but they have a finished script and a finished vision before they start. Mm-hmm. And I think it makes for, it's like, it comes back to the point of picking your battles. From, you can go into production before the script is done and ready. Mm-hmm. But then you're going to be picking the battles. You're going to be compromising. You're going to be making compromises and things like that.
I also think it's important, and I'm learning as I'm going. Mm-hmm. But so I learned this relatively recently. But I also think it's important for you and the DP to fully understand, because the DP is supposed to kind of like, try to help create your vision as a director, create your vision of what you have seen for the scene. If you're also the writer of the piece as well, they're supposed to kind of assist you in what you see for the scene. And what I have learned is that storyboarding works really well, and it really helps. The DP get into your head of how you want these shots to be. And sometimes the way I storyboard, they may not be correctly illustrated as far as like shot wise, but it's enough for the DP to understand what I'm trying to do, the kind of shot that I'm trying to achieve, and the elements of what I'm trying to strive for. And it's that really, actually, I found this year that really helps a lot.
I'm gonna be storyboarding my next feature films.
Yeah,
that's something I've been planning to do. I'm probably even gonna draw the storyboards and then actually go. And I do this now. Period. Like where I take a camera, or no, I've started using an iPad. I think since started talking to Jamie. I found the CAD Rage app, which is basically super great at, getting the exact, like I literally don't have to change lenses. Like I can literally use the iPad and have the exact framing of each lens based on my camera and what lens it is. Didn't have that with the other apps I've used before. Super useful. So now I don't bring like a camera, or I might like on set, or location scouting. But I figure out with I'm going to figure out with storyboards, drawing it for initial inspiration, and then with the actual thing, just so I know what lenses feel like in different environments, because you imagine things and it's usually different. Yeah. Because like the environment, it's hard to comprehend how the environment's going to look, and then but figuring out what the DP, knowing how to communicate it to the DP is essential. Right. Having DP'd, having been somebody who DP'd a film for the first time, that was not mine, it was somebody else's. Yeah. Was an interesting challenge for me, because I forgot, or it didn't occur to me that I knew this innately, but you learn what this means in reality, where you're not the same brain as the director. Yeah. I've always been my own brain. Yeah. So I can go location scouting and figure out to an 80% or a 90% degree what the shots are with the framing. Yes. I know the framing before I do a sketch for every shot, mostly. I figured that all out way before shooting, just so I can set it and forget it and figure out as many things as I can early on. When I'm DPing a film where I'm shooting it, but I'm not directing it, I did location scouting, but it was it wasn't really useful, at least for this particular director, because he still had things he needed to figure out. I mean, we figured out like certain shots, like we figured out a number of them, but we didn't have enough time to map out all the shots. And he showed me a storyboard, which was basically pictures. It was basically like a lookbook. It was basically pictures of, it was a combination of pictures, but also like, it was like a shot list with, and then also like pictures from stills from other films. Completely useless to me.
Okay.
Like, or not totally useless. It gave me ideas for lighting.
Yes.
And I'll probably do a lookbook for my next films, just so I can kind of have some inspiration. But because that was useful in that sense, to know the lighting and whatnot, or have ideas for it. But from now on, if I'm DPing somebody else's film, and you might want to try this with Chris, I don't know if you have done this, but as the DP, I will hound the director from the beginning of the shooting day, when I show up, give me 10 to 20 minutes and explain every shot. Show me with your hands and your eyeballs. Where's the frame? What is the shot? And then in that 20 minutes, what we'll do is we'll figure out where the lights need to be for the scene, for the entire scene, where the shots are. And we realize, oh wait, this breaks the 180-degree rule. Well, now we know that now. We didn't start shooting half of the shit. Find out later, oh, we broke 180-degree rule. Well, I wasn't thinking about it. I thought you were. Got
it.
Now I know that. So first 20 minutes, it's going to save you a lot of heartache. It's going to save you a lot of time on set. It'll save you hours. If you have the DP walk through them, it'll take 20 minutes or a little longer, but it'll save you hours.
Right.
Walk through everything.
Right.
Have them, even if you're not at the location, you're planning to move to another location. Have them kind of explain to you the environment if you haven't been there, or remember the environment, from your memory, and say, okay, we want a shot of this, and then we want a reverse shot of this, and this needs to be a 2-shot with these people here. Get it detailed, but you need to know every single shot we plan to get that day. Some directors probably don't know what shots they want until later.
Right.
That's a fucking that's hard. But I mean, sometimes you come up with shot ideas that you didn't have before. That happens to me. You figure out as much of that as you can on the set the day of. As much as you can, you figure out as much as you can beforehand too. But often things change before the beginning of the shooting day, and you figure that out beginning of shooting day as a DP with the director. And like I said, eyeballs and fingers show me where the frame is.
Right.
And then I can kind of see what he's doing and then kind of mimic that really quick. I know where the frame is, and I can say, oh, what if we try this or adjust it a little bit? And then we figure out and then from there, I figure out, okay, if these are the different shots, we could put a light here that mimics the color temperature of this one. We can have a light over here that mimics the color temperature of this motive. And so there's motivated lighting. And we could also create artificial lights and have them be a certain color, like a really an exotic color, like really, bright blue or red or something, and have color separation in the scene. For these different shots, we'll create an idea of where we are in space by having this red light coming from here and blue light coming from here. Or in this case, it was called real oranges, and oranges was a metaphor for what real objectivity is in art. And the color scheme was kind of a bluish and an orangish for that. And we figured out, okay, and not only that, color separation, when you have colors of different kind of different hues coming together on an actor's face, it looks amazing. It's beautiful. I love it, and I love doing that. And we experimented a lot with that on that film, and then I adjusted it in color grading. We haven't color graded the film. I just color graded the stills. Hopefully we do color grade it and make sure that it does look, we take some time with that. But it's you walk through that with your DP at the beginning. Do you do that with Chris? Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, we do. We normally speak about shots ahead of time, like a week beforehand or earlier. We speak about shots. Which is where I found my last film, which is Monsters, the first film where I pretty much almost fully storyboarded for him to check out. When a lot of the characters are sitting down at a table, like you and I don't have to storyboard that. He knows how to, he knows that kind of stuff. So when the characters were at this table, there was no need to storyboard it because over the shoulder, blah blah blah. He knew how to do that. But when the characters were moving, or it was more of an action scene where like people were standing up or things were happening. I storyboarded all of that, and he was able to, and especially with me in this scenario, being in front of the camera almost the entire time, that was really crucial for him.
Yeah.
And on top of that, on the day that we shot Monster, it was one day, as a director, I didn't see 1 ounce of playback. I couldn't. We had to keep going. So he had the reference of the storyboards, and I had my trust in God that he got everything correct. And I didn't see a lick of footage until the next day after everything was wrapped and after we lost the location and everything. And thankfully, with the storyboards, he was able to really accommodate everything that I had drawn out. He really actually was able to. It was his first film. I don't want to speak for him, but I will. It was the first film that I think he really he felt that he had fully captured Kevin's essence of his vision of what he wants for his film, because he was able to really mirror the a lot of the storyboards that I had written, that I had drew. I think he was so I think he was really happy about that, like really capturing, trying to get into my mind of, because for the most part of our previous works, he really did a good job as far as getting what I wanted, but I think he felt really satisfied with really tackling what I'm exactly thinking and my intention behind the shots.
That's good that he's the kind of DP who is able to look at a storyboard and work with it. Yeah. Like I've worked with DPs where they're like, they look at it and they look like it's a different language. They're like, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, what? Like, I love this. If I was a DP, I'd cherish the fucking storyboard, I think. Right. Like it would give me a window into the director's head. And it would be so useful to have a DP who was able to look at a storyboard and kind of be like, oh, I get it. I get what you're going for. Yeah. Also, I think, but the reason I would do both drawing is and go take the camera into the environment, like an iPad or iPhone, and have an app. Yeah. So the exact framing of the lens and the camera and the sensor, and then okay, well, when I'm in this position, I thought this would work, but in this actual location, the background's not going to be where I want it to be. And there's no way to make it work. Yeah. Like there might be a doorway to a doorway to a doorway. Well, if you're gonna have to move, like if you want the character to be at a certain place, you're not gonna have doorway like framed right, the way you want, unless you move the entire thing. And you find that out from bringing a camera on set or knowing this is everything that's gonna be captured in the frame, or this object is going to be cut off by the frame and it's going to be distracting. You find that out by bringing having a frame on set, having a lens or having something that mimics that. And that's the importance of that for me, especially. There's other things, and there's things you don't think about. Right. I might even bring like a microphone like this on set on location scouting, because I've like talked with like Jamie about location sound, knowing like you want to know what it sounds like, the location, and bringing a sound person there, knowing, because they'll pick up on things that you don't. Yes. Like can we turn off this air conditioner, this refrigerator, right? And figuring you can knock those, you can hit those things, like, or like hit them before they hit you, so to say. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this podcast clip. For notes and links to things mentioned on the show, my films, full episodes, or other selected clips, go to profittableproductions.com/podcast. Profitable is spelled like my name with 2 F's and 2 T's. Also, for updates on future episodes, follow me on Instagram at Proffitt Take and at Profitable Productions. Consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out a lot. Thanks again. Catch you on the next take.